is in Watford next.
Hello, hi. Ben Kentish. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Ben Kentish. I apologize.
It is my name. I've been called worse.
Right, it is Ben. Sorry, Ben Kentish. Sorry.
I've been called a pensioner hater.
Sorry, no.
Ben Kentish is fine.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for having me on the show. And it's a great show tonight. What I'd like to say is, I think we need to look at this thing from a slightly wider angle, if you like.
We've only got 90 seconds or so, but yeah.
Okay, right. Well, what I'd like to say is this. You see, right now, the systems that are actually oppressing the black nations, if you like, are still in place. The currencies of these countries are controlled by the Western system. The entire this idea that aid is being given to Africa is actually the other way around. The resources of Africa is being forced to be sold at dead cheap prices. France, for example, has taken 14 African countries, and they are forcing them to give their resources at zero prices. Now, Mali and Niger are now beginning to address that. So that alone, just talking about that, you can see the justification for reparations right there. Secondly, in terms of paying for it, the government took loan, paid the money to those who enslaved, and they finished paying that loan only in 2015.
Yep.
So likewise,
£5 billion today's money paid to slave traders, not a penny.
Exactly. So this can be. However way you want to look at it, I'm just being very very real here. This thing cannot be avoided. This is something that has to be paid. End of story. And on top of that, those systems that are actually oppressing and preventing those countries from actually flourishing, the countries have to remove it, because it is the system that was created back then is still what is operating right now. And that is why you're having this wide gap. So that's so.
Yeah. Thank you for your call, though.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your calls, texts, and tweets tonight. Don't forget to listen back if you want to on Global.
So, thank you. So, you had me talk about what I wanted to say there on LBC. I needed to say that because they often quote the language of these discussions in a way that you can't really touch at the main topic. You can't, and I was not going to give anybody any chance to frame it in a particular way. We have to be fair about, and I said we have to look at it from a wider angle. And the wider angle for me is you cannot talk about reparations and not talk about the fact that the systems that has caused the underdevelopment of all black African nations, bar none in the world, is still in place today. That is the reality of it. I think I'm probably going to do a show about this on my program on Citizen Network, the platform where we speak truth to power, because it is really important to actually raise this point. And I felt very, very sufficiently motivated to contribute to that discussion, even though it was only 90 seconds, whatever. I said what I felt needed to be said, because you could see now that it actually put in context this idea. We need to actually disabuse the minds of many of this idea. You know what, we are giving to Africa. No, Africa is giving to the rest of the world. 30% of the world resources comes from Africa, and the system has made the prices of African resources dirt cheap, that they can buy it at any price they want. And that means that the people of Africa will always remain impoverished, unless, of course, Africans, and this is why I call on every African, it is time for us to begin to unite. Africa must unite. All of those nations that are created right now in Africa, they are not nations. They are resource extraction points. That's it. They're not interested in your nation. The flag is for them to just say, oh, that's my part. That's my part of the booty. That's my part of the booty. And when we are carrying those flags of those nations that they imposed on us at the Berlin Conference of 1884, when we are carrying those flags, we are simply saying, oh, we are the resource collection point for France. We are the resource collection point for UK. We are the resource collection point for Spain. That's all we're doing for Germany, so on and so forth. That's what we are really doing. But many people don't like to look at that. So that's why what is happening now in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger, in Guinea, And Gabon, the more I'm thinking about Gabon, I'm not so sure. I think this is an inside job by the colonials themselves. I can't confirm it yet, but it's looking like that from what I can see. And one has to really reappraise that. But this is an opportunity now for Africa. Africa is owed reparations. No ifs, no buts. Our artifacts are all over European museums, making money, hand over fist. And what is sad is that many Africans don't realize that what they go and look at in the museum actually comes from their own ancestors in Africa. Isn't that something? So they're making millions on top of that. Not to talk of the fact of the misery they caused millions of Africans. Not to talk about the fact that the royal family, Duke of York, had the name Duke of York put, branded on Africans. And they are quiet. The royal family must pay reparations. Yes, I said it. The royal family must pay reparations. No ifs, no buts. Because the system that they put in place back in 1885 is what is oppressing and impoverishing Africa and indeed black nations around the world. And I will go further. Haiti. Haiti was not only held to the ground by the French, but the US and indeed the UK, the entire Western world, ensured that Haiti, for breaking free from the yoke of slavery and enslavement, paid a hefty price. The first Haiti, it was not only France. This was an agreement among all of the Western the colonial powers. They say it's just France. It is not France. We need to understand that what France is doing right now in Africa is not by France alone. It's not by France alone. It is an agreement by all the colonial powers, the UK, France, Germany, US, all of them. And what France does benefits them. You want to know why? Let me explain to you. The uranium that was taken, that is still being taken from many African countries, is not only feeding the nuclear power station in France. No. Entire Europe. The power plants in Europe is being powered by uranium looted from Africa, from places like from Niger, Gabon. Why do you think the French are insistent? And let me show you a picture. This is why I have a concern about Gabon. I can't confirm it, but this is why I have a concern about Gabon. And you tell me what you think. So the coup in Gabon was planned by, I believe, in my own opinion. I think it's just my take. Oh, I can't show you now. It's difficult to do that. I need to do something. Give me 1 second. Right, like I said, for my discussions earlier on, I was telling you, I have a concern about the Gabon coup. Look in the middle here. Part of the dignitaries is the man here clapping, with others are clapping. Sitting in the middle. Remember, I always say this, the colonial powers always use symbolism to pass a message on. And that symbolism, when you accept it on, it is you tacitly agreeing to their will without you realizing it. That's the symbolism. So this man for me. So I have a concern about the Gabon coup. I can't say categorically, but the way it looks, if you look at the Niger situation, if you look at the Mali situation, if you look at the Burkina Faso situation, and the Guinea situation, and how that intellectual realignment took place, the people are in 100% support. There is no celebration like this where the people alone. What should have happened with this Gabon coup was that this should have been held with the people being part of this moment. But what's being done is being put in a room. And I don't know. I do not know for definite. But there is something about this Gabon coup that bothers me. There's something about it. When the time is right, we will flesh it out a bit more. But there's something about that coup that bothers me. And it speaks to this idea of continuation of the pact for continuation of colonization of Africa by not just the French. And please remember, when we say that this is that France are the ones doing this, no, France is like an iceberg. You see, when you see an iceberg at the top, is what you see at the top. Oh, there's an iceberg, but what is beneath? What is beneath? Are countries like Germany, Switzerland, UK, US, all of the Western countries, because it is in their interest. What France does is in their interest. They agree to it. What US does is in their interest. It is something they agreed to. 14 of them met in the room in September 1885 and planned the domination of Africa and the entire black race. Until date, it is still in place. So when we talk about reparations, just bringing it back to the discussion on Ben Kentish's show, somehow it doesn't mind. On the show that I spoke, when we talk about reparations, it's definitely valid. And like the man said before, they should pay they should pay 2 times over. They should pay for the enslavement of the people. They should pay for the destruction of the kingdoms. They should pay for the fact that they've taken the artifacts from Africa and they are profiting from it. And they've paid the slave owners and they refuse to pay those they enslaved. So for me, it's clear cut. It is very, very clear cut. And I just really wanted to emphasize the point. For me, it is extremely, extremely clear cut. I think so I will just, I just wanted to just really frame this up and really make that discussion clear. That it's of immense importance to look at this thing from a wider angle, not just looking at this idea of reparations alone. Because if you do that, you miss certain things. For example, you miss the fact that, as we speak, the systems that ensured that came on the back of the slavery. And in fact, let's be honest, what is going on now is still slavery of Africa. Africa is not free. Those systems they put in place, colonization, is ensuring that the profits of slavery they continue to benefit from, and they've put up financial systems that continues to impoverish Africans. So when they talk about we are going to give aid, give it to what? Give it to what? The French, again, I'm saying anybody's listening to this, please really understand something. We need to understand how this thing works. We got to understand it. When you see the CFA, the French francs, being enforced on Africa, I want you to ask yourself a question. France doesn't use CFA. France uses the euro. And how many countries are in the euro? 24, 29, something like that. France is part of that body. What France is doing in Africa is supported by those 29 countries. And it is an agreement that they planned. So they're trying to make you blame one of them when in actual fact you should be blaming all of them for what is happening. But it's a game they're playing. We need to wake up. As Africans, we must wake up and realize that's a game that's been played. So the France will come out and be doing this, and everybody, France, and then US will come and do something, US. But in actual fact, they're all doing the same thing. It is the same strategy. And that is why, to be able to combat this, Africa must unite. No ifs, no buts. We must unite. So the picture with Gabon for me is suspect. There's something suspect about that. I have a concern about that myself. Again, I will try and see if I can play that line again in that Ben Kentish thing, just to hear what I said there. Maybe that will frame the thinking and the discussion that we're having now. Give me 1 sec. Yes, so just a bit of a recap. You will hear me speaking to Ben Kentish on LBC, London Brigades Conversation, I think it's called, about the issue of reparations. I'll listen to the comment and we'll come and talk about what I said there. And it gives you a context into the reason for this particular broadcast. Let's have a listen. Hello, hi. Ben Kentish. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Ben Kentish. I apologize.
It is my name. I've been called worse.
Right, it is Ben. Sorry, Ben Kentish. Sorry.
I've been called a pensioner, hey.
Sorry, no. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for having me on the show. And it's a great show tonight. What I'd like to say is, I think we need to look at this thing from a slightly wider angle, if you like.
I should have only really got 90 seconds or so, but yeah. Please.
Oh, okay, right. Well, what I'd like to say is this. You see, right now, the systems that are actually oppressing the black nations, if you like, are still in place. The currencies of these countries are controlled by the Western system. The entire this idea that aid is being given to Africa is actually the other way around. The resources of Africa is being forced to be sold at dead cheap prices. France, for example, has taken 14 African countries, and they are forcing them to give their resources at zero prices. Now, Mali and Niger are now beginning to address that. So that alone, just talking about that, you can see the justification for reparations right there. Secondly, in terms of paying for it, the government took loan, paid the money to those who enslaved, and they finished paying that loan only in 2015.
Yep.
So likewise,
£5 billion today's money paid to slave traders, not a penny, or descendants of slaves.
exactly. So this can be however way you want to look at it. I'm just being very real here. This thing cannot be avoided. This is something that has to be paid. End of story. And on top of that, those systems that are actually oppressing and preventing those countries from actually flourishing, the countries have to remove it, because it is the system that was created back then is still what operating right now, and that is why you're having this wide gap. So that's so.
I've got to leave there, my friend. Adam,
Yeah.
Thank you for your call, though.
Thank you.
Finish on. Thank you for all your calls, texts, and tweets.
So, did you hear that now? So you see that I was hitting home on the points. Now his show ended. He did give me a prior warning that it was 90 seconds. Fair enough. I did try to call in. I actually made a point I wanted to call in to really make those points. And one thing I wanted to add to it was I was going to add the fact of the Haiti thing I spoke about. Those of you watching this, I was going to add the fact of the Haiti situation and the fact that Haiti, impoverished as it is today, it is all down to the plans between US, UK, and France to ensure that the symbol of freedom that Haiti represented when it freed itself from the clutches of France in 18 something would never be something that other African countries or other black nations could look at. As we speak, we all know that US is actually busy destabilizing Haiti left, right, and center, night and day, because they recognize the power of that symbolism of Africans freeing themselves from bondage, and they want to make sure that message doesn't resonate with other countries to free themselves. So this is very psychological. This is very deep, and we need to be very aware of it. Again, I keep telling everybody, when we think about, France is doing this alone, it's not only France, because what France loots, believe you me, is shared among the other colonial countries. That's a plain fact. They've done that with the uranium. The uranium is shared. When France loots the uranium from Africa, it's shared among those to give to power plants across Europe. And Africans are the ones paying for it. Look at this issue now about this thing about the gas that's about to be piped from my own part of Africa, Nigeria. I think it's southeast, if I'm correct. They're trying, or maybe even in Ondo State. We don't know the exact place, but they are trying to do a pipeline. Chevron is paying $5 billion to pipe gas from Nigeria through Niger, and that's the sticking point. Niger now saying, no, we want no part of it. We want you to leave our country. It's giving them a headache, and they're thinking, and that is at the cost of the people to whom that gas belongs. That is still part of, and then they are quick to talk about, we don't want to pay reparations. You see what I mean? So this is way deeper. This is way, way, way deeper than they realize. Or they may even know it, but they don't want to talk about it. And the way I sense the way the discussion is being framed is in a way to try and make you think, oh, we're doing something. In actual fact, no. You're taking all the time. The financial structures, the educational structures, the religious structures, the entire system is to ensure that Africa remains psychologically, educationally, in all ways. Look at the courts. We're wearing even gowns. I mean, we're wearing European gowns in African courts. In African courts. We got to put a stop to all this. Africans. But the only way we can achieve it, I'm telling you, don't think it's one country alone. Please do not make that mistake and think that France alone is doing the CFA francs. No. This is part of a overall European strategy to remain in power and continue to exploit Africa in conjunction with the US. We need to understand that. So when you see the CFA, it's an agreement that they've reached. When the money comes in, I'm telling you, just ask yourself this question. The French don't use the CFA francs they impose on West Africa and Central Africa. What do they use? They use the euro. That means that they are part of that system. When the money comes into euro, is there a difference between France and the rest of Europe? No. So that money is going to go into the economy of Europe. We need to understand what is being done here. So I'm calling on Africans. The best way to ensure that Africa is truly free is for us not to recognize any of these borders that are imposed on Africa. We need to unite Africa. Close up shop. Build from within. Begin to trade freely among the whole of Africa. Ensure that our people do not die in the Mediterranean Sea. Because people believe, mistakenly, that salvation lies in Europe, in the US. When what is simply doing is allowing those who have imposed this unjust financial system on us to take our resources at dirty prices, continue to exploit us. Now it is time for Africa. We must unite. Let's start talking among ourselves. That is the solution. I'm keen to have a discussion. I'm keen to bring Dr. Arika Nashon-Borikwao onto Citizen Air, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'm keen to have Wodemaya on the show. I'm keen to have Patrice Lumumba, Professor Patrice Lumumba on the show. I'm keen to have Professor Wole Soyinka to have a meaningful discussion. And others, and there are other brilliant ladies, who we can bring on board, men and women, young and old, with ideas and visions, and youths. Let's have a meaningful discussion among ourselves about the pathway forward for a greater and a better future for the coming generation of Africans. We can do this. Nothing can stop us. Look at the civilizations from Africa and the amazing things we've done. We've crossed the seas whilst the Europeans were still reigning in the sky. We built pyramids. We built kingdoms in Zimbabwe without any cement, but it's a marvel. We built the longest earthworks in the entire world in Benin Kingdom. I could go on. Africa is the birthplace of civilization, period. And that is running through my veins, your veins as an African. I need you to believe in yourself. Not on all the lies you've been told. I'm telling you now, if you want to believe, if you want to pray in any religion you want. But you need to reconnect with your African ancestry, your African belief system, first and foremost. When they destroyed, when the cathedral of the French cathedral or whatever they call it, when it burnt down, what did they do? They built it back up. But they tell us, no. Your own ancestry stuff, forget it. You don't need it. And they put the Bible and the Quran in our face. They keep putting it. Why are they doing that? They don't want us to reconnect to who we truly are, the greatness within. You as an African, I'm telling you, you possess a greatness within you. It is only by uniting. It is only by uniting as Africans that our greatness will manifest. It is only by uniting. Total unity. Because the countries they've created is been designed to divide, and it has worked amazingly well. We are easily divided. But the time for that now to end is now. It ends now. With you and me, let's start talking. Let's start building our own systems. The UN is there to ensure we remain divided, because the same people who created the UN are the ones who are in Europe, who are in US, who created the financial systems, who have given you the religions that you're religiously following. They don't care about religion. They only care about exploiting your resources. And they are always telling you, oh, we are giving aid. What aid? What aid are they giving to Africa? I'm asking you, what aid? What aid are these people giving to Africa? What aid? Let us think about what is really going on. It is not aid. What is happening is not aid. It is an illusion. They have ensured, Professor Nicholas, what Nicholas said, the plan as far as the colonial powers are concerned is to ensure that Africa remains impoverished and our resources they can buy at dirt cheap prices. Nigerian naira, as we speak right now, is not even worth 1p of the dollar. You heard me right. It's about 13.0013 of a p of 1 cent, 0.00. And the CFA francs, those francophone countries, they are those CFA that the French printed, imposed on them and don't use, is only 0.0015 of an euro, of one p of a euro. So we need to be very, very clear. They are both part of the same system. They are both part of the same system. We have to be very clear about that. The only way this will work is when we unite collectively as Africans, build our own systems from within, in every sense of the word. Everything, we have to become self-reliant in Africa. Self-reliant as in allowing free movement across Africa for Africans. Ensuring that the old established cultural lines are re-established, in fact encouraged. And our languages must be spoken on African soil. In Europe, the only language that they speak in each of their regions, Flemish, German, Swedish, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. And they encourage those languages to flourish. In Africa, the colonial mind that they've imposed on us, you're either a francophone or anglophone. That means nothing to me in my language. I'm a Yoruba man. There's people speaking Swahili. There's people speaking, different languages. And those languages, psychologically, we've been told that our language are vernacular in our own land. And we are told to accept that. We need to decolonize our minds. Like said by Ngugi Wathingo, the great author, who was a great English writer, but now he writes a lot of his words in his language because he realizes that the language is a powerful tool. If we do not ensure that on African continent, on African soil, any president from here on, this is something we could do right now. Any president would make sure that anybody coming to Africa, they speak to them in their language. In Nigeria, it's simple. You can do it. The current president is Yoruba man. Don't make it complicated. You speak in Yoruba, they translate to English. And if he becomes an Igbo person in future, he speaks in Igbo and they translate to English. If he's an Hausa man, He's speaking Hausa, they translate it to English. That's the kind of mentality to ensure that our culture, that is until we all go our separate ways. But I'm saying in Africa, our culture, our clothes, our food, our language, we need to revive it. And the only way to revive it is when we stand together. This stuff about Anglophone and Francophone on African continent must stop. The Europeans or US will never accept anybody dictating to them what they do in their own country. So why are we accepting that? Why? Please, let's not forget, Africa is the birthplace of civilization. I know what I'm saying. The richest man to ever live, ever, is not Bill Gates. It's not Elon Musk. It's not, whatever Mark Zuckerberg. Mansa Musa, dig it out. And it's not paper money, by the way. It's gold in Africa. Go do your research. Africans, we are greater than we realize. I'm here to remind us. It starts with our unity. In our unity as Africans, our continent will flourish once again. Let us have that discussion among ourselves. Please, when you get this podcast, I want you to share it. Share it. Listen to the words there. Leave comments. I encourage you to disagree with me. Because at least we have a point at which we can begin to have some kind of meaningful discussions. Don't agree with everything I said. Go and do research. And if there are things that are wrong, that you think, that you point out and we find is wrong, I will put my hands up and say, you know what? Thank you. I learned something new today. In fact, I want to learn something new about Africa from fellow Africans, not from Europeans, not from US, not from anywhere else. I want to learn something new about Africa from Africans, because that's how we're going to build our continent. That's how we're going to build it. So I'm here to remind us all. The task starts now for us. We now see the picture. Africa is being deliberately impoverished and held to the ground. And the only way we can stop it is our unity. Those who have been oppressing us, they have been presenting a face of one person of them on standing on their own and doing something whilst the others are away. I've just told you. The French imposed on 14 African countries, CFA for the West Africa, CFA for the Central Africa. But they don't use it. What do they use? Think about it. What do they use? They are using the euro. That means that when they take those resources, they convert it to what? To euro. Does it not benefit the whole of Europe, what they are looting from Africa? I'm just asking a simple question. You follow? Me, I don't know much. I really don't. I'm just trying to, I deduce a little bit here and there. I do a little bit of research, but I'm not the fountain of knowledge. I really am not. But I'm just pointing out a few things that we need to begin to understand. And if you look at it, if one CFA is worth 0.001p, 1.15 of 1p in the euro, and 1 naira is worth 0.0013 of a cent in dollars. Is that not a system designed in both cases to ensure that they get to buy African resources at their cheap prices? And we're still busy talking about, oh, I'm Nigerian. Oh, I'm Ghanaian. Oh, that system ensures that we now sell our resources. They buy it at their cheap prices. That keeps us impoverished. Our gold, our diamond, our uranium. I like what Niger did. Niger they've now put the proper price on the uranium. So France now, if they want the uranium, they have to pay 200 euros per gram or something thereabouts for it. That's what we need to be doing in Africa. But not one country. It is not sustainable for one African country to do that. It isn't. It is the whole of Africa, all for one and one for all. That's what must happen. We must do this for Africa. I wish Europe well. I wish US well. They are looking after their interests. Africans, it is time for us to begin to look out for our interest. And what is our interest? The coming generation of Africans. That's our central interest. We must look out for that. We will trade with anybody in the world. That must be our mantra. But it will be on our terms. The quantity, the value, the price, all of that, we will determine it. On African soil, Africans reign supreme. On African soil, Africans must and will reign supreme. That is as simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this informative. You've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. This broadcast was brought about because I spoke for a few seconds or so on Ben Kenchi's program on LBC, and they were talking about reparations. And I'll probably title it "The Case for Reparations," and you'll see a picture of Ben Kenchi there or something like that. I'll see if I can put something up on that. And you'll see, I'll play it. Let me hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? And it allowed for a wider discussion on a range of issues. Financial systems designed to oppress and suppress Africa. The idea, this misnomer, when they talk about giving aid. And please, we need to be very, very, very clear. Africa is the one giving aid, even as I speak, to the whole of the world. Africa is the one giving aid. And I've got evidence. I've got evidence of it. And it's confirmed by Professor Howard Nicholas, who says that they want to keep Africa impoverished, and they want our resources at their cheap prices. And everything, I've done systems, I've shown graphs, I've shown currencies that shows our currencies as worthing being, when you compare our resources, our currencies against the euro or the dollar, our currencies are worthless. And it is a system designed to ensure that they have access to those resources at their cheap prices. So there is a bit of, thinking in the discussion that we're having on this platform. I hope you found it. Interesting. Please, as I'm saying to you all, as ever, I urge you. I really need you to help us grow this platform. Go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Help us grow this platform. There will be more discussions. Of course, I'm still going to be talking about Nigeria and doing things. And I want to touch base. I'm hearing some interesting news about Nigeria. I'm going to be talking about the national identity number, NIN, and I'll come and talk about that specifically in the coming days. It's going to be of some benefit to Nigerians, but I'll give them kudos for putting that in place. Let's just see how far and wide that will go, and it's apparently it's going to be a benefit to people who are not only at home but abroad as well. So that is it's a move in the right direction. There's a lot more needs to be done. This currency issue now that is going on, we need to address it. And also, I've had some interesting reports and proposals coming from the Nigerian government in terms of how they're going to address the currency situation. I have been talking about it on this platform, and it seems like they've been listening to what we're saying, and those plans look like they're going to try and make sure that the naira now becomes something like, for every $1 it will be worth 1 naira 25 cents, something like that. And for every 1 naira, for every $1 it will be worth 1 naira 25 kobo. Something like that, instead of this crazy 1,000 naira for for $1, that kind of something nonsense. So it's an idea in the right direction, but to be honest, for it to be sustainable, it's one thing to say that as one country, but imagine the whole of Africa coming together and actually having a structured idea of ensuring that the resources in the whole of Africa, that they get true value for whatever they sell. That is the real plan. So that is why, to have any long-term prosperity in Africa, it requires the unity of Africa. No ifs, no buts. It requires that. So let us get around the table. Dr. Arikanashe Borikwao, Maponga, Joshua Maponga, Professor Patrice Lumumba, Wademaya, and many other names. I'm just mentioning some names that comes across, and we need to try and get in touch with Ibrahim Traore, Goita of Mali, Cherny of Niger, Dombaye of Senegal. Begin to bring true visionaries together and have discussion among ourselves and encourage the youths to speak up more. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for watching. You've been watching Citizen White, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button. Give us thumbs up. How do you go ahead and do that? Here you go. Subscribe to Citizen White. Hit the notification button. Of course, give us a thumbs up. Help us reach more people. We really appreciate your support. I'll pause it here for now. There'll be more discussions and there'll be more topics I'll be touching. Please, we need your support. This platform is really geared to empowering our people, be it in Nigeria or the whole of Africa. The central point, one thing is clear: we are all Africans, and it is time that we as Africans begin to benefit from the African resources beneath our feet. We are blessed with these resources, and we are the custodians of those resources. We need to organize systems that will ensure that those who want to come and get those resources from us, it will be on our terms. The price we choose, the value, the quantity, the rate, whatever. What we say on African soil is what goes as Africans. That is what we need to do. To be able to achieve that, it requires unity. Because those who are oppressing us, they are united in the oppression of Africa. And we need to understand that. So trying to stand on your own in one African country and you think that you can defeat this system, it's not going to work. We need to recognize that. We have to recognize that. There's a lot of work for us all to do. So thank you so very much. You have been watching Citizen Wide, the platform where we speak truth to power. If this resonates with you, please share this broadcast. We need to talk. Let's keep talking among ourselves as Africans, talking and begin to plan and support the likes of Ibrahim Traore, the likes of Goethe of Mali, the likes of Dumbaye of Guinea, the likes of Shani of Niger, and the move they're making. I'm really this is something, and we need to see those moves reflected across the whole of Africa, because right now Africa is not free. Yes, we will have partners, we will have trading partners, but whatever agreement we enter into has to be on our terms as Africans, on African soil. The days when we are being continually exploited by those who have colonized us for 400-500 years, those days are gone, and we need to wake up. We need to wake up and take our true position. We as Africans must wake up and take our true position as Africans. If this resonates with you as an African, get in touch with Citizen Y. There's a lot of discussion that we need to have. I am not, please do not look at me as some kind of a leader of some kind. It's important as Africans now that we need to understand that there are many leaders. It's not one person. There are many leaders in Africa, and we can work together and really achieve our common goal, which is what? Freedom for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Citizen Y, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Please subscribe, share, hit the notification button, make this go viral. Help us reach more people. The case for reparations, as explained by Citizen Y. I'll be back later on. Thank you, and bye for now.